Right, let's do our usual. Find our comfortable sitting position. It doesn't matter what it looks like. There's no right, there's no wrong. This is just a way of us finding a little comfort and bringing a little focus into our homes, because it's a bit strange still when your home is also your little studio space. So maybe have a bit of a wiggle, kind of draw the attention inward. Start to notice the body rather than what's happening outside of it. Maybe something feels a little bit stiff. Maybe you had a bad night's sleep. All of those things are good to know about. So have a little think. While you find some stillness, let the hands fall wherever they will. Take a deep breath in through the nose. And on the exhale, close the eyes. Maybe drop the chin towards the chest a little bit. And bring all the attention to the breathing. Just noticing the inhales and the exhales. It's impossible to do this wrong. It's just breathing. It's up to you how deep or how long you hold the breaths for. Drowning out any external noise, paying no attention to postmen or ice cream vans or people moving around. And that might feel like hard work, and that's fine too. Let's take one more inhale. And on the exhale, let's blink the eyes open and let's get ready to do some moving. So I'm going to be using a brick during this class. So if you've got some kind of hardback book or brick type thing close to hand, it's not fully necessary, but I think it's a bit nicer. It's a bit easier overall. And if you don't need it, that's fine too. So if you need to grab it, go grab it whenever you fancy. So we're going to start our little movement with the arms and the shoulders and the hands. We're going to drop the hands down by the sides. If you don't want to keep the legs crossed, you can come up to knees. That's fine too. And we're going to take our usual. Inhale the arms out to the sides of the room and up overhead. Make a little prayer at the top. And exhale the prayer down past the nose and mouth towards the chest. We're going to interlace the fingers together. Point the palms up towards the face and breathe in. Lift everything up. And exhale, turn the hands out. Push the arms away. Drop the head down. Maybe have a little bit of a wiggle into the sides of the ribs. And on a breath in, let's lift the arms up overhead. If you've got extra space, wiggle them behind the ears a little bit. And exhale, release the hands down by the sides. Bring them behind the back. Let's interlace the fingers together. If you've got space, you can pull the shoulder blades in towards one another, lifting the hands away from the lower spine. And exhale, release it all. Give the hands a little bit of a shake, one side to the other. And then we're going to stretch the hands out in front. So we're going to kind of point them forward. And we're going to crunch all the fingers in together and back out. And we're going to do it pretty speedily, maybe about 15 or 20 times. It gets pretty tiring, but it's nice to warm the fingers up, and it kind of helps with downward dogs, I think, especially early in a practice. And once you've done about 15 or 20, give the hands a nice little shake again. And then we're going to get ready for our bigger moves. So we're going to set the hands down onto the mat and come around to our tabletop position. We're going to start with the hands flat on the mat. We're going to separate the knees out ever so slightly, and we're going to sit the bum right back onto the heels. Push with the hands so that the bum goes back as far as it possibly can. So this is a child's pose, but it's one where we're doing some work. So if your bum, like mine, usually lifts up a little bit, do the work to push it a little bit further back, almost so you could feel a stretch coming through the armpits and into the arms, down into the forearms and the hands. Take a breath in. And an exhale. On the inhale, we're going to move the torso forward through the hands. So we're lifting the head forward, looking forward, stretching the chest forward, almost like a really tiny cobra. And then on the exhale, we're going to go back in the opposite direction, coming to our child's pose, kind of curving the spine underneath. And on the inhale, forward again, head through the hands, chest pushing out in front. So these are kind of like cat cows, but in a slightly different position. And on the exhale, rounding the spine underneath again, back to our active child's pose. Take one breath in here. Have a look forward at the hands, really pushing the knuckles into the floor as much as you can. And then let's tuck the toes underneath and let's lift the hips up for our first downward dog. So first one is always going to be the trickiest one, but the hands should hopefully feel quite warm. So maybe you can focus on the legs and the feet instead. So think about dropping the heels down towards the mat a little bit, pedal the feet as much as you need to. If you want to do this completely with knees bent, that's fine too. Makes no difference to me. Always thinking about lifting the hips a little bit higher. Breathe in and exhale. Take one more inhale. And on the exhale, let's bend the knees and look forward. Inhale, let's step the right foot forward and the left foot forward. Let's grab hold of opposite elbows. Take a little sway from one side to another. Maybe think about straightening the legs one after each other as well. So we're opening out through the backs of the hamstrings. And then let's bring our swaying back to center. Drop the hands down towards the mat. Let's bend the knees. And on a breath in, let's start to lift everything upright. Be as lazy about it as you wish. And once we're all upright, let's come for our Surya Namaskara A. Take a breath in, arms up overhead, look up. And exhale, fold the hands down to the mat. Bend the knees as much as you need to touch the floor. Let's inhale, bring the hands to the shins or fingertips to the mat for halfway lift. And exhale, let's plant the hands. Step the right foot back and the left foot back to our plank. And let's lower it down. Knees first if you wish. Tucking the elbows in. And on the inhale, lifting the torso up, shining the chest forward for our cobra. If you want to do this on the forearms, that's fine. And on the exhale, let's tuck the toes, lift the hips back up, downward dog. Still might feel a little bit weird or awkward, that's fine. Bend the knees if you wish, pedal the feet if you wish, all good. So we're trying to find the sort of position of comfort in the body where downward dog, instead of being a really significant challenge, almost becomes a place of rest. So have a think about it. If something feels a little bit wiggly, feel free to have a little bit of extra movement. We'll take one more breath in. And on the exhale, let's bend the knees, look forward. Inhale, step it back to the top of the mat. And let's lengthen into our halfway lift, reaching the fingertips to the floor or hands on shins is fine. And exhale, plant the hands on the mat. Bend the knees as much as you wish. On the inhale, let's straighten the legs, reach the arms up overhead, look up towards the ceiling. And exhale, back to standing. Second time, a little faster. Let's take a breath in, arms up overhead, look up. And exhale, fold the hands down to the mat. Bend the knees as much as you want. Let's inhale to the fingertips or hands on shins, halfway lift. And exhale, plant the hands, step or jump it back to our plank. And let's lower it down. Your choice. If you want to do full chaturanga, that's fine. Inhale forward to our upward dog or cobra, dropping the shoulders from the ears. And exhale, tuck the toes, lift the hips back up, downward dog. Same thing goes, trying to find any parts of the body that are still a little bit stiff, maybe noticing things getting a little bit warmer, really thinking about pushing down into the knuckles of the hands. Breathe in. And exhale. Take one more inhale. And on the exhale, let's bend the knees, look forward. Inhale, step or jump it to the top of the mat, your choice. And let's lengthen the hands towards the floor for our halfway lift, back to the legs, nice and strong. And exhale, fold the hands to the mat, bend the knees, let all the air out. Inhale, let's straighten the legs, reach the arms up overhead, gaze up to the ceiling. And exhale, back to standing. Lovely. Let's go with our Surya Namaskara B. So take a breath in, arms up overhead, sitting back into our little chair. And exhale, fold the hands to the mat, keeping the knees bent. Inhale to the fingertips, lengthening the backs of the legs. And exhale, plant the hands, step or jump it back to our plank and lower it down, your choice of how. Inhaling forward for our cobra or upward dog. And exhaling, tuck the toes, lift the hips back up, downward dog. Let's inhale the right leg forward between the hands, drop the left heel down, stretch the arms up overhead, front leg bent for our warrior one. And exhale the hands back to the mat, step the right foot back and lower it all down. Let's inhale forward for our cobra or up dog. And exhale, tuck the toes, lift the hips back up, downward dog. Let's inhale that left leg forward this time. Drop the right heel down. Stretch the arms up overhead for our warrior one. And exhale the hands back to the mat. Step the left foot back. Lower it all down. Inhale forward for our cobra. And exhale, tuck the toes. Lift the hips back up. Downward dog. So by now we're 3 in. Everything should feel a little bit warmer. Everything should feel a little bit more open. Maybe the body's starting to get a little bit more heated. Maybe you feel a little bit short of breath. All fine. Take a big breath in here. And on the exhale, let's bend the knees, look forward. Inhale, let's step or jump it to the top of the mat. Let's lengthen through the backs of the legs, reaching the fingertips towards the floor. And exhale, plant the hands, bend the knees as much as you need to. Let's inhale, sweep the arms up overhead, stretching them towards the ceiling, coming into our chair. And we're going to stay here for a couple of more breaths. So think about inhaling, lengthening the arms, reaching them higher. And on the exhale, maybe sitting a little further down towards the floor, only if you've got space. Breathe in. And exhale, holding it super strong. Take one more inhale. And on the exhale, let's fold the torso forward and down, stretching both arms out in front. Breathe in. And exhale. Take one more breath in. And on the exhale, let's start to straighten the legs, reaching the hands towards the feet. Separate the feet to hip width distance if they're not there already. And if you can reach the toes, loop the peace fingers around the big toe. If it's not possible to get to the toes, you just don't fancy it, hang on somewhere on the backs of the legs, all fine. No matter what you're holding on to, take a big breath in, lengthen through the backs of the legs, really open out as much as you can, drop the shoulders from the ears. And on the exhale, maybe bend the elbows out to the side, drop the head down, let it completely surrender. And that might help you gain a little bit of extra space, pushing towards the floor if you want to. You really don't need to. If at any point it feels like you've gone a bit too far or something starts to feel a bit sore, just come back a little bit, no big deal. Breathe in. And exhale. On the next inhale, let's release the hands from wherever they're at, maybe resting the fingertips against the floor or on the shins. Take an exhale, dropping the chin towards the chest. Let's bring the hands to the hips. And let's inhale really slowly, coming back up to standing. Take your time. Amazing. For the next section, we're going to need our brick. So if you've got your brick or your book, have it be somewhere in front of you vaguely. And we're going to keep the left foot pointed forward. We're going to step the right foot back behind us. So we're coming in for our triangle pose. I need a little bit more space. So left foot pointing forward, right foot behind. Let's bring our arms to parallel. Take a breath in, stretch that left hand forward as far as we can. And on the exhale, fold the left hand down towards the floor, right arm up towards the ceiling. The goal here is to stack the shoulders one on top of the other, opening the chest towards the ceiling and maybe looking up. If looking up doesn't suit or puts you off balance, just look down instead. It doesn't matter. Take a breath in, stacking the shoulders, opening the chest. And on the exhale, maybe pushing it a little bit further if you've got space. And if you don't have space, it doesn't matter. Breathe in. And on the exhale, let's look down towards the left foot. Let's inhale to bring the arms back to our parallel position. We're going to shuffle the right foot out behind us a little further, getting ready for our warrior two stance. Take a big breath in. And on the exhale, bending over that left knee into our warrior two, looking out over the left middle finger. Breathe in. And on the exhale, maybe think about opening out this left leg more to the side. So we're kind of deepening the stretch across the entire body. We're not sort of caving in a little bit in the middle. Inhale. And exhale, maybe sitting a little deeper. Take one more breath in. And on the exhale, we're going to fold the right hand to the back of the right leg. Swoop the left arm overhead to reverse our warrior. Exhale here. And on the inhale, let's sweep the arms back forward. Let's straighten this left leg a little bit. Shuffle the right one in. We're going to step forward to our warrior three. So rebend that left leg, take one step forward, arms reaching alongside the body. You can put them anywhere. You can stretch them out if you wish, totally up to you. Trying to find this little sense of balance. So you want to keep the hips nice and square. So the right hip is still kind of reaching down towards the floor, still parallel. This all looks really good. If you fall out of it, no big deal. Just get back in. It's not the end of the world. Once you feel like you've got some semblance of balance here, says I, falling over, you can grab hold of the brick or the block or the book and bring it alongside you on the left-hand side, resting the left hand on top, and then beginning to turn the right hip towards the ceiling. Take a few seconds about it. It doesn't need to be instant. Lifting the right leg, lifting the right arm up towards the ceiling for our half moon pose, Ardha Chandrasana. Cool. Sometimes Ardha Chandrasana gets a bit easier if after you've turned the hip, you also put some activity into lifting that entire lifted leg a little bit extra. So instead of just relying on your hip to hold you sideways, you actively lift that right leg a little bit higher as well. It's still not easy though. Take a breath in and an exhale. Take one more inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to bend the left leg a little bit. We're going to drop the right leg back onto the mat. We're going to come back to a sort of warrior two position, and we're going to straighten the left leg in front of us. Shuffle the right leg in a little bit and turn it into 45 degrees. So we're back in our triangle position. We're going to bring the hands to the hips. Square the hips so we're looking forward a little bit. Doesn't need to be perfect. So the brick is still going to be in front of you, slightly to your left. Take a breath in, reach the right arm in front, and on the exhale, reach across the body. Grab hold of the brick, bring it closer to the left foot, and then we're going to take a revolved triangle. So if you wish, you can rest the left hand on the lower spine, or you can push into the block and start to stretch the left arm up towards the ceiling. If you started with the block and you don't like it, that's fine, you can abandon it. If you can reach the floor, all good. If you can reach the outer side of the left leg, that's fine as well. They're just different options for different people. Wherever you're at, take a big breath in and an exhale. Take one last inhale. And on the exhale, let's look down towards the left foot if you're not there already. Let's lower the left hand back to the lower back if it's not there already. And let's take an inhale, lifting the torso upright, bringing the hands back to the hips. And let's step the right foot forward to join the left. Maybe give the legs a bit of a wiggle. We're just going to move the brick slightly out of the way, so closer towards your right. Everything a bit of a wiggle. And let's go again, other side. So this time we're keeping the right foot pointed forward, and we're going to step the left foot out behind us, pulling it in at 45 degrees for our triangle. Take a breath in, extend the arms, reach the right hand forward as far as you can. And on the exhale, fold the right hand down towards the floor, left arm up towards the ceiling. So same trick. We're trying to stack the shoulders, trying to open the chest towards the ceiling a little bit more. If that means that it's more comfortable to lift the hand away from the floor, lift the hand away from the floor. It doesn't need to reach the bottom. Inhale to lengthen. And exhale, opening the chest a little bit more towards the ceiling if you've got space. Take one more inhale. And on the exhale, let's look down towards the right foot. Let's lift the arms back up to our central position. Let's shuffle the left leg out behind us a little bit and open out for our warrior two. Take one breath in. And on the exhale, let's bend over that right knee. Breathe in. And on the exhale, have a think. Maybe we need to open the right knee out to the side a little bit extra. Maybe you've got extra space and you can sit a little lower or widen the stance. Do what you need to. Breathe in and exhale. Take one more inhale. And on the exhale, let's drop the left hand to the back of the left leg. Swoop the right arm overhead. Breathe into our reverse warrior. And exhale. On the inhale, let's bring the arms back through center. Let's straighten the front leg a little bit. Let's shuffle the left one in a little bit. And let's get ready for our warrior three. So bend into that right leg again. Take one big step forward, stretching the arms out behind or beside the body, keeping the hips in parallel. So left hip is still parallel with the mat. Give yourself a few seconds to find the balance. Nobody's saying that it's going to be better on the second side, and nobody's saying it has to be perfect either. If you're happy that you've got some sense of balance, let's go for our half moon. So you can grab hold of the brick with the right hand, land it wherever feels comfortable for you. Some people really like it right next to their foot. I can't even do that, it's too hard. Some people like it to be more out in front. Find the right position, give yourself a second. And then let's start to turn the left hip towards the ceiling. Lift the left leg, stretch the left arm up towards the ceiling as well. Ardha Chandrasana. If you can look up towards the ceiling, feel free to look up. If that's the thing that makes you topple, don't bother. Part of this is just about being able to hold a little bit of stillness while you do this. It's a massive balance. It really doesn't matter if you fall out. Take an inhale. And on the exhale, let's start to look down towards the right foot. Let's start to bend the right knee and step the left leg back so that we're into our kind of warrior two position. And then let's straighten the right leg. Let's tuck the left one in a little bit to 45 degrees so it feels like we're back in our triangle. Take a breath in. And on the exhale, let's bring the hands to hips. Let's face the hips forward and get ready for our revolution. So inhale that left hand out in front. And exhale, reach it across the body. You can grab the brick if you liked doing this with the brick, or if you want to do it without, that's fine too. If you are going to use the brick, really push down into it. Bring the right hand to the lower spine. And if that feels okay, stretch that right arm up towards the ceiling, completely revolving our triangle. If you find that the placement of your feet means that you're very rocky and you have a sort of instinct that your left foot needs to move out to the side of the mat, move the left foot. There's no point in falling over. Take a breath in. Woo! That was me falling over. And an exhale. Make one more inhale. And on the exhale, let's look down towards the right foot. Let's lower the right hand back to the lower spine. And let's inhale, start to lift the torso back upright. Let's bring the hands by the sides and step the left foot forward to join the right. Give everything a bit of a wiggle. I'm going to play that sound back on the video. Cool. You can step the brick out of the way. There's no need to keep a hang on to it again for a while. And we're going to take a breath in. Arms up overhead. Look up. And on the exhale, float the torso forward and down towards the floor. Bend the knees. Inhale, lengthen through the backs of the legs, really reaching the fingertips towards the floor, even if you don't usually get there. And on the exhale, let's plant the hands, step the feet back to come to our plank, and let's lower the knees to the floor and sit the bum back onto the heels for a little child's pose. So I'm giving child's pose so that we've got an opportunity for the breathing to come back to something that feels vaguely normal. We're going to come into a side plank flow. So I want to make sure that everyone feels confident, comfortable on top of the world. That's what this child's pose is for. As always, if you don't want to do full side plank, we'll also do variations. There's something for everyone. Take one more inhale where you're at. And on the exhale, let's lift the head. Let's look forward a little bit. Let's tuck the toes underneath. And let's lift the hips back up to our downward dog. So we're going to get ready for our side plank. We're going to move the left hand into the middle of the mat so that it's closer to the right hand. If you want to take a variation, drop the left knee to the floor and stretch the right arm up towards the ceiling. That's your side plank variation. If you want to go with the full shebang, We're going to rest the outer edge of the left foot onto the mat. We're going to step the right foot on top. We're going to stretch the right arm up towards the ceiling. If popping the right foot on top of the left causes difficulty, you could put the right foot forward. You can also put the right foot back. I don't really have space with my cabinets, but you can do it. Take a breath in, lifting the hips as much as possible. And on the exhale, let's lower the right hand back to the mat. Let's come to a plank position and let's lift the hips back up for our downward dog. Take a breath in and an exhale. Take one more inhale. Let's lift the right leg up towards the ceiling. Let's bend the right knee and let's bring the leg forward as far as we can towards the top of the mat. So we're landing the knee close towards the right hand. We're going to drop the left leg, drop the left foot, and get ready for our pigeon pose. So feel free to do what you wish. You can pull the right foot forward if you know the hips are open. You can also make this a little bit more restorative or easy if you fancy. Take a big breath in, lengthen through the spine. And on the exhale, fold the torso forward and down. If you've still got the brick or the book close at hand, you can rest the head on the brick. It's actually quite nice. Gives you one less thing to carry. Pigeon pose is a really nice pose for finding a little bit of inner focus again. So you can close the eyes if you want to. Maybe you can rock a little bit from one side to another, feeling the stretch a little bit extra or relieving it if it already feels a bit too strong. Notice the breathing rate beginning to slow, the heart rate coming down. Feeling that stretch through the hip, maybe even into the glute. Inhale. And exhale. On the next inhale, let's find some stillness. Let's start to lift the head. Let's separate the hands to the sides of the mat, getting ready for our downward dog. Tuck the left toes underneath. Let's lift the left foot. Let's step the right one back for our downward dog proper. Take a breath in and lift the hips. We're going to look forward towards the hands and we're going to come in for our second side plank. So this time we're moving the right hand to the center of the mat. Same thing goes, you can drop it down onto the right knee if you fancy. If you want to do the full thing, let's come onto the outer edge of the right foot, stack the left foot on top, stretch the arm right up towards the ceiling. This is all about lifting through the hips. So the more you can lift with the hips, the more likely you are to sort of maintain the shape. If you're relying too much on the arms or the feet, it's more likely to feel absolutely awful. So kind of direct the attention to the center of the body. Make the hips do the work for you. Take one more inhale here. And on the exhale, let's start to lower the left hand to the mat. Let's bring it back to our plank position. And let's lift the hips towards the ceiling for downward dog. Take a breath in here. And an exhale. And on the inhale, let's lift the left leg up towards the sky. Let's bend the left knee. And let's bring it all forward to the top of the mat. Left knee behind left wrist. Let's untuck the right toes, shuffle the right leg back. Same variation on this side as the first if you wish. You can move the left foot forward a little bit. Find the point where you know it's going to be really nice. Take a big inhale. And on the exhale, fold everything forwards and down. Same thing goes. If you liked the brick on the first side, you can do it again on this side. It's a nice way of keeping the back of the neck long. And same thing goes if you liked closing the eyes and coming a bit more inward or rocking a little bit from side to side, go for it. If there's something else you want to do that I've not mentioned, you can do that too. It doesn't need to be specific. If some part of the body is crying out to just be moved, move it, that's fine. Noticing again the heart rate and the breathing rate maybe coming down a little bit. Take one more inhale. One more exhale. And on the inhale, let's start to get out of this. So let's straighten everything upright. Let's separate the hands out towards the edges of the mat. Let's tuck the right toes underneath, lift the right knee, and let's swoop the left leg back to our downward dog. Maybe give the knees a little bit of a pedal or the feet a little bit of a pedal, just in case one leg has gotten a little bit stiff. I'm saying that because one of my feet is kind of blue, so maybe that's happened to someone else. And then we're going to take little side plank rotations. So we're going to lift the right leg up towards the sky. And on the exhale, we're going to bend the knee and pull it in towards the nose. We're going to inhale the leg back up to the sky again and straighten. Exhale, bring it in towards the nose, and then we're going to shoot it out to the left-hand side. So the outer edge of the right foot lands beside you, stretching the left arm up towards the ceiling in our little revolved side plank. Breathe in. And on the exhale, let's lower that left hand back down. Let's step the right leg back to our downward dog. We're going to do the same thing other side. So take an inhale, lift that left leg up towards the sky, bend the left knee, and let's exhale, bring it forward towards the nose. Let's inhale the left leg back up, straighten the leg, and on the exhale, bend the knee forward to the nose, and then shoot it out to the right-hand side, stretching the right arm up towards the ceiling. Breathe in. And on the exhale, let's lower the left hand. Let's shoot the left leg back to our downward dog. Take a breath in, lift the hips. And on the exhale, let's drop the knees to the mat, separate them ever so slightly, and let's sit the bum back onto the heels. Taking our well-deserved child's pose. So at the beginning, we did this quite actively. You can choose to take the same approach here. You can push into the hands in order to push the bum back a little bit further. Totally up to you. You don't need to keep the arms out in front either. You could rest the head against the floor and bring the arms alongside the body. Totally up to you which variation you prefer. Maybe closing the eyes. Really enjoying the long, deep breaths after some really significant work. Let's take one more inhale here. And one more exhale. On the inhale, let's lift the head up. Look forward towards the hands. We're going to come into a puppy position. So you can keep the forearms straight, fingers pointing forward. Think about kind of pushing down through the knuckles. We're going to tuck the toes underneath. And we're going to lift the hips up so that we're in a kind of forearm downward dog. This is puppy pose. So we want to keep the head looking forward between the hands, but if that feels horrible, feel free to dip the head a little bit, that's fine. If this is enough as it is, cool. If you want to, you can start to walk the feet ever so slightly closer towards the elbows, but it's quite a big ask. If at any point you need a breather, drop the knees back down to the floor. You can always come back into it in a couple of seconds, not the end of the world. Take a breath in and an exhale. On the next inhale, let's see if we can lift the head through the hands, pushing the chest forward, almost like a little plank on forearms. And exhale, rolling the spine back underneath, dipping the head. Inhale, lifting the head through, pushing the chest forwards. And exhale, curling everything underneath. And then let's drop the knees back down to the mat. Let's push the bum back to the heels. Take one last little child's pose. I would say don't be too active with this one. Let the hands just lie there. Let the arms just lie there. They've probably done a lot of work in the forearm section. So feel free to give them a bit of a break. Take one more inhale. And one more exhale. And then let's lift the head and look forward. Look towards the fingers, pushing down into the knuckles. Let's tuck the toes and let's lift it up into a full downward dog. After all of that former stuff, downward dog probably does feel kind of relaxing. Take a breath in. And on the exhale, we're going to come forward to sitting any way you choose. Yay, says everybody. Stretch the legs out in front. Give everything a bit of a wiggle. If anything feels a bit stiff, like in the arms, the shoulders, feel free to have a little couple of spins one side to another, all fine. We're gonna come for our Paschimottanasana. So take a big breath in, lift the arms up overhead. And on the exhale, let's float everything forward and down, reaching towards the toes. If you can reach them, grab hold, that's fine. Ankles are also good. It doesn't really matter how far you go. Take a big breath in, no matter what you're holding on to. And on the exhale, maybe bending the elbows out to the side, accelerating slightly forward. Feel free to drop the head if you want to. It doesn't need to be held in any specific place. Breathe in and the body will fill with air and maybe it will feel a bit tougher. But on the exhale, when the air is exiting, maybe you'll get to go a little bit further. If at any point it's sore or you feel like you've overdone it, just dial it back. Equally, if you prefer to hang on to the outsides of the feet, that's fine. Doesn't matter to me which grip you go with. Take one last inhale and one last exhale. And on the inhale, let's release the hands from the feet. Let's stretch them up overhead, lengthening through the spine. And let's exhale them back down by the side. Cool, really nice. We're gonna bend the knees and bring the soles of the feet onto the floor. So we're gonna come in for our boat pose, but please do make sure that you're not gonna hit anything if you fall backwards or anything like that. That was what I felt was gonna happen, so I'm just giving a warning. This doesn't need to be super fancy. We're gonna grab hold of the back of the knees, take a big inhale, really lengthen through the spine, grow tall. And on the exhale, we're gonna lift the toes off the floor. Nothing drastic. Breathe in and exhale. If that all feels okay, maybe we can lift the legs up to 90 degrees. Think about really clamping the knees together. Breathe in and exhale. Think about dropping the shoulders away from the ears, still pulling the chest towards the knees and the knees towards the chest. It might still be kind of difficult. Take an inhale. And on the exhale, maybe we can let go with the hands, stretch them forward. Breathe in. And exhale. Take one more breath in. And on the exhale, let's cross the legs. Let's tip the body forward, land the hands on the mat, and let's step it back to our plank position. Once we're in plank, let's lower it down, your choice of how. Inhale forward to our cobra. Maybe that feels really nice in the hips. And on the exhale, let's tuck the toes, lift the hips back up, downward dog. Take one breath in here. And on the exhale, let's come forward to sitting, any way you choose. And we're gonna stretch the legs out in front again. We're gonna come for our Janu Shirshasana, followed by another boat pose. So don't overdo. If you're feeling a bit tired, do a little bit less from here on in, that's fine. We're gonna bend the right leg, pull it in towards the chest, nice and tight, and then drop it out to the right-hand side, rolling the sole of the foot against the inside of the thigh. We're gonna come for our twist position here. So we've done it before, should be familiar to everyone. That doesn't mean it's loved by everyone. And if you don't want to do it, you can go the old-fashioned way, that's fine. So we're gonna take a big breath in, lift the left arm up overhead, and on the exhale, float it forward. Grab hold of somewhere on the left foot, left ankle, left leg, all fine. And on the next inhale, we're gonna reach the right arm behind us, lift it up overhead, and try to reach almost towards the left toes. You might be able to reach your left toes by crunching over, and that's not what we're going for. So the chances are you won't get towards the left toes because we want to open the chest up towards the ceiling instead. If you're a lucky person who can do both, go for it, that's fine. But the goal here is to not crunch the chest too much. Take a breath in and an exhale. Take one more inhale and one more exhale. And on the breath in, let's release the foot or the leg. Let's lift the hands back upright. Let's twist the torso back towards the front. And let's lower the hands. Same thing, opposite side. Pop that right leg out in front. And let's pull the left leg in instead. So tucking it in tight towards the chest. and then dropping it out to the side, rolling the sole of the foot against the inside of the thigh. Make sure it's vaguely comfy. And then we're going to take a breath in, right arm up overhead. And on the exhale, fold it forward and down. Grab hold of whatever you can grab hold of. It doesn't need to be fancy. And then we're going to take a breath in, stretch the left arm behind us, up and overhead, almost like you're reaching towards your right toes. Still thinking about opening the chest towards the ceiling though. You might find this side a lot harder than the other. That's certainly my experience. So if you find that this one hurts or is a little bit sore, just do less. Breathe in and exhale. Take one more inhale and one more exhale. And on the breath in, let's release whatever we're hanging on to. Let's lift the arms up overhead. Let's twist the torso to face forward. And let's release the hands back down. Pop the left leg out in front. Give everything a little bit of a shake. And we're going to come back to our boat pose. Absolutely not, says everybody. That's fine. You don't like, if it's too much, just don't bother. That's fine. So we're going to bend the knees again, resting the soles of the feet on the floor, grabbing hold of the back of the legs. If that's far enough, fine. That's already a yoga pose. You can stay there. If you want to go further, take the breath in, and on the exhale, lifting the toes away from the floor. This might be far enough for the whole shebang. That's absolutely fine. I'm not pushing anybody. If you want to, you can lift the legs up to 90 degrees, but still really think about the lines. So we want to keep the knees pulling towards the chest and the chest pulling to the knees. There's a chance that we start to do this and curve the kind of shoulders and the head to try and make this easier. Try to resist temptation. Drop the shoulders from the ears. Breathe in. And on the exhale, if you wish, you can release the hands for just 2 breaths. Take an inhale and an exhale. Take one more breath in. And on the exhale, let's cross the legs. Let's tip the torso forward, drop the hands onto the floor, and let's step it back to our plank position. Take your time lowering it down. And inhale forward to our cobra. Might be some tension in the lower spine. Maybe have a little rock one side to the other. And exhale, tuck the toes. Let's lift the hips back up. Downward dog. Take one breath in here. And on the exhale, let's come forward to sitting. Same thing as always, any way you choose. And we're going to take our little twist. So we're going to take a nice, easy, simple twist, technically speaking. So we're going to cross the knees over so that we've got lots of space. Face this way so that we can see. We've done quite a lot of twists, quite a lot of forward folds. We've asked a lot of the body. Everything should feel pretty loose. So we're going to try and make this twist a little bit more dramatic than we usually would. So let's bring the right hand to the outside of the left leg. Doesn't matter if you do it the other way around, I don't care. Let's bring the left hand behind us onto the mat. Take a breath in, really lengthen through the spine. And on the exhale, think about the hips turning, the center of the torso turning, the ribs, maybe the shoulders, the neck, and the head. So usually this isn't a twist where we get super far, but you might find after all that extra activity that you've got a little bit more space. So we covered the hips, we covered the ribs, we did big spinal twists. So this should feel vaguely restorative and the heart rate should start to come down a little bit, but you might also feel a little bit more flexible than usual. If you want to go a little bit further, you can move the left hand further behind you and use it as a torque to twist more deeply, if you fancy it. Totally optional. Take a breath in. And on the exhale, let's bring it all back to center. And let's do the same thing opposite side. So left hand to the outside of the right leg, or backwards if you did it the other way. Let's bring the right hand behind us onto the mat. Take a big breath in, grow as tall as you can. And on the exhale, start to feel it from the very bottom of the body. So the hips, the middle of the stomach, the ribs, the shoulders, and then finally the neck and head. And same thing goes if you find you've got extra space, you can move the right hand further behind you and use that right hand to accelerate more into the twist. You might find one side still a little bit trickier than the other. That's fine. So in one position, you might go a little bit further and in one less. Take one more inhale. And on the exhale, let's bring it all back to center. And let's take a little bit of twist from one side to another, just giving the spine a chance to reset. Feel free to move the arms or the hands any way you fancy it. And then we're going to come to our Baddha Konasana. So we're going to separate the feet or separate the legs out and push the soles of the feet together. We want to get quite a big stretch in the hips because we've done quite a lot of work on the hips in this class anyway. So grab hold of your ankles and pull the feet a little bit closer to the groin. I say a little bit, like don't overdo it because it'll just be sore. And when you're rocking from side to side, you should get a vague sense of a stretch in either side of the groin or the upper leg, or maybe even the glute underneath. If that's not happening, you might need to pull the feet in a little bit closer. Everybody looks a bit different and feels a bit different in this. Once you're happy that you've got the position or a position, we're going to grab hold of the feet, lengthen through the spine on an inhale, and we're going to open the feet out to the sides, like you could look down into them like a book. So that's pushing the knees closer down towards the mat. We're adding this external rotation. Lengthen through the spine again. And on the exhale, we're going to start to tip forwards and down. So the trick here is not to curve the shoulders and the spine. We want to keep all of it in a straight line. And the spine stretches right up into the neck. So that means that we want the head and the neck to stay in a straight line too. So the further forward you can bend in a straight line, the bigger the stretch is going to be in the hips. But often you get a stretch in the hips long before you run out of space with the rest of the body. Once you feel you've got a comfortable stretch in the hips that's not overdoing it, you can stop tipping forward. If you do have the space to keep tipping and your arms touch your legs, you can push the arms into the legs to facilitate a little bit of extra movement. But like I say, the goal is the hip stretch. It's not actually like bending the whole way forward to the floor. So as long as you've got a stretch happening in the hips, all good. You can close the eyes here if you wish. And deepen the breathing a little bit. So take big, long inhales. And on the exhales, without looking, maybe you'll manage to go a little bit further forward, but don't make it a focus. It doesn't matter. Breathe in. And exhale. Take one more inhale. And one more exhale. Let's open the eyes if they've been closed. Let's release the hands from the feet a little bit, and let's nice and slowly come back up to our sitting position. And once you're up, maybe give the legs a little bit of a wiggle, a really gentle one. And then we're going to shuffle the feet further out in front of us. We're going to make this diamond shape a little bit bigger. Sometimes that's uncomfortable for people who get hip cramps, so there's no need to overdo it. Stop where you want to stop. There's no wrong way of doing it. We're going to take our second Baddha Konasana. So you can hold on to the top of the feet and interlace the fingers together if you like that. If you want to stretch the arms out in front, that version's fine too. I just like having something to hold on to. Take a breath in and lengthen through the spine. And on the exhale, fold the torso forward and down, round the shoulders, drop the head, reaching as far as you can towards the ground. This can be completely passive. You can just let the whole torso flop. Or you can make it a little bit more active and put some pressure on the body to go a little bit further down. It's kind of up to you. It depends on how tired you are. By now, the heart rate should be down. Breathing rate should be down. The muscles should be starting to have that nice loosey-goosey feeling that we always get at the end of a practice when they've done a lot of work. The body should be starting to slow. And because anybody who comes to my class frequently, they'll be used to, your body will kind of be used to the flow of it. We have an opening and we have a start and we have a standing and a seated and a finishing sequence, and the body knows that we're coming towards the finishing. Take a breath in. Then one last exhale. And on the inhale, let's lift everything back upright. Let's pop the legs out in front. We're going to come to our lying down position. If you've got a brick, not a hardback book, but one of these actual bricks, we can use that for the back bend. If you've been using a book, definitely don't use a book for the back bend. It ends in disaster, both for the book and the person. So only if you've got a brick, we'll talk through the variation for that. Otherwise, stretch the legs out in front and let's come to our lying position. Totally your choice. Might be nice to flop it. I think we did a lot of work there. I didn't really set out to do that much work, but lo and behold. Make sure that the back is comfortable once you're lying down. And we're going to come to our bridge position first. So let's bend the knees, bring the soles of the feet to the floor. We're going to come for our full bridge pose. So it's up to you. If you've got the brick, there's a couple of different things you can do with it. You can lift the sacrum off the floor and slot the brick underneath horizontally. That's quite nice. You can flip it so that it's a little bit more lengthways, or if you've got quite a lot of flexibility, or even if you get onto the tippy toes, you might manage to use the entire height of the brick to support your bridge pose. It depends on what you fancy doing, totally up to you. Maybe you don't want to use the brick at all. Maybe you just want to go with the full bridge, totally your choice. Take the breath in, lift the hips up towards the ceiling. Same thing as always. I rarely end in any other fashion. So we're finding the right position for us. If you like the supported posture, we've done a lot of work in this particular session, and something supported can be nice. Feel free to have a little play with the legs. Move them from one side to another, lift one up, lift the other one up. All good by me. Breathe in. And on the exhale, let's start to lower it down. Upper back, middle back, lower back to the floor. Maybe you can windshield wiper the legs or even pull the knees in towards the chest if that feels nice. Totally your choice. And then we'll all come back to center. We'll take a second back bend. So it's totally up to you which one you want to take. You can practice a full wheel. If you feel pretty tired and you don't fancy a wheel, that's also fine. You can do the same bridge. You can do a supported bridge. Absolutely your choice. Same thing goes, get prepped, and on an inhale, lift the hips up towards the ceiling, no matter which choice you've made. Really thinking about lifting the hips as much as possible. It's really the middle of the body that does a huge amount of the work here. And as long as you're lifting constantly through the hips, pushing down into the knees, imagining the feet pushing into the floor, it should help to kind of trick the body into feeling quite strong. Inhale. And exhale. Take one more breath in. And on the exhale, let's start to lower it. Upper back, middle back, lower back to the mat. Let's pull the knees in towards the chest. Wrap the arms around the legs. Give yourself a proper hug. Maybe rock a little bit from one side to the other. And in the full spirit of total rest, let's get ready for our Shavasana. So pointing the toes towards the edges of the mat, finding the most comfortable position possible. Maybe you want to grab some socks or a jumper or a blanket, all fine by me. Take one big long inhale through the nose. And exhale the whole practice out, closing the eyes, letting the muscles and the bones sit heavy against the floor. Almost like you could visualize all the work just ebbing away into the ground. Breathe in. And exhale, finding a nice, normal, natural rhythm to your own breathing. You can't do it wrong. Giving the body time for a complete relaxation for a few minutes. Let's start to bring a little movement back into the fingers and toes. Let's rotate the wrists and the ankles. Maybe dropping the head from one side to another if you like that. And then on an inhale, reaching the arms up overhead, taking a big long stretch, tips of the fingers to the bottoms of the toes. And exhale, pull the knees in towards the chest. Give yourself a little bit of a hug, wrap the arms around the legs. And then whichever way you choose, we'll come back to our seated position on the mat. Take your time, no need to rush. And once we're all there, we'll bring the hands to the center of the chest, make a little prayer. We'll inhale the prayer up and exhale it down. Little thanks to everyone who joined us.